Sportscast here, the host Brian, and I am going solo today. Craig could not make it on, unfortunately, this week. He's got busy at work and some stuff went down, but it is episode 144, Talks on Tuesday, headline edition. Did have a good question I thought of this week, but we did have quite a bit of headlines coming out. We had preseason football started. We got some suspensions. We got a head coach firing as well in the Major League Baseball. My own team. So we're going to talk about that definitely. We got Marshawn Lynch craziness again. Preseason is here. Some takeaways from that. And Tom Brady looking miserable out there in practice. We're going to cover a little bit of all of that and more on the other side of this, guys. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome in. I hope you had a fantastic start to your week. It is Tuesday here on the Talks on Tuesday edition headlines, episode 144 of the Outspoken Sportscast. Guys, welcome in. Find us on all podcast platforms. We are streaming live right now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. So come join in. On YouTube, you can actually comment, and I will pop these up as we go on. But we got the headlines of the week for you. And the big headline this week was my own very own team here. The Texas Rangers have parted ways with their head coach and Chris Woodward after they're headed into their fourth or fifth straight losing season. And I was shocked, absolutely flabbergasted, about this happening. I did not think it was going to happen this season, especially. The talks have started. I ain't gonna lie that we've heard the rumors, we've heard the talks, the chitter chatter about Chris Woodward's job is in jeopardy. And if you're a Ranger fan and you watch his team, you know they're not very fun to watch. They have not put together a team. They have admitted to not going all in on a rebuild. They admitted to dragging their feet and being halfway in and out. And if you're halfway in and out in a rebuild, it's not going to work out for you. There's a lot of heat on Josh Daniels, or John Daniels. I always say Josh. John Daniels. There's some people that don't like him. There's some people that do. There's a lot of people calling for his head. I liked him. I don't know if I'm starting to change my way whether I like this guy or not. Okay, he brought us. He is the guy that him and Nolan Ryan helped us get to back-to-back championships. We'd never been there ever before, and we went to back-to-back World Series. We didn't win either one of those, which we should have beat the Angels or the Cardinals in that one. But we don't talk about that here in the Ranger history. But I'm starting to turn against this front office. And they added Chris Young to help and split the duties there with John Daniels. And maybe this is a Chris Young move. Maybe this is he said, hey, I can get somebody else in here. This wasn't really my pick for a guy. But I got a bone to pick with this. You didn't give Woodward a fair chance. You didn't give him a fair shot. This is his first head coaching job. He as a head coach. He came from the Dodgers, and I loved his energy. But you did not give this guy a fair shot, a fair chance to say, hey, I'm going to coach a team that's going to put some wins on the board. I'm going to coach a team that's going to be I'm going to be able to turn this thing around. You did not give him the people. You did not spend money to help him. Now, you spent money this last offseason. I get that. You spent a lot of money, okay? $500 million. But you didn't even give him a full season to turn it around. You didn't even give him a full season to work with the money you spent. Okay, they in the interview they said the GM John Daniels said, and they openly admitted that these teams that they put out there, they knew they weren't going to win, right? So how can the coach then take the fall? Now, am I sitting here going to say Chris Woodward was the guy to take this team to a championship? No, I didn't think that. I didn't think that Chris Woodward was. I didn't think he was anything special. I liked him as a person. He seemed to have a great energy about him. You know, and he was a player's coach. But there's been rumors going around that he's too much of a player's coach. And when it took time for him to kind of get on these guys, they kind of didn't listen to him. But they fired Banny. Banny was a no BS kind of coach who overachieved with the team he had, and we fired him. And now you get a guy in like Woody, who is an all players coach. He was not really strict with rules or strict with that, and they let him go. You got to make up your mind. Who else are we going to bring in here? Maybe they said this guy can't control the clubhouse. Maybe there's something behind the scenes we're not talking about. Mike Bassick from 105.3 was saying that there was plenty of times where this year that the Rangers didn't know how many outs were in the inning, how many outs were left, how many outs were gone, and there was over 10 times that's happened. They're not really great at running bases, and maybe that's the fundamental lapse that these players had. And I don't know how you see. Is that the head coach's job to make sure these guys know how to play the fundamentals of baseball? I mean, they're Major League Baseball players. They should know how many outs are on the field. They should know those things. They can look up at the scoreboard and go, "Oh, okay, there's 2 outs. There's 1 out." I'm not sure if all that falls on Chris Woodward, but if they weren't listening to him in the locker room, I guess it was time for him to go. But I don't think he lost the locker room. I don't think they stopped playing for the guy. They just not a very good baseball team. They spent a lot of money. They brought in Seager and Semien, and they spent a lot of money there. That's great, but you can't expect to get those guys in and be world beaters. And they were actually on mark to hit the projected loss, the Vegas stat lines. They're projected to hit that marker of what Vegas and we all thought they were going to be this year. No one expected them to go out there and make the playoffs and compete. And if the Rangers general manager and ownership expected that, then they are delusional. This team is a couple years away at least. Now you got to get a new head coach. Now you got to see how he's going to handle things and vibe with the clubhouse. I'm going to be very interested to see who they get, but I do not think Chris Woodward was given a fair shot. I don't think he was anything special either. So now, the first half of the season this year for the Rangers, we wanted to see them. You know, that's there to basically work out the kinks. You got to work out the Semien and Seager started off on slumps. We got to figure out this pitching rotation, and the first half was kind of getting settled in and seeing where we're going to be and kind of fine tuning things. The second half of the season, we would want to see some wins put together. And Chris Woodward was 6-24 this season in 1-run games. And what the good teams do and what the great teams do is they find a way to win in those 1-run games. Okay, when it comes down to those 1-run games, you got a closer, you got pitching staff who can shut it down. You got guys that know how to hit the ball and play and get on and hit a home run, go get up by a couple points, and they can hang on to that lead. The Rangers are not a good team. Okay, I'm not on here fighting for you now. The Rangers are more promising that we've had in a long time with the young players we have, with our farm system we have built, and you got two all-stars on your team from this offseason. So going into next year, you're going to have a coach to come in. You're going to be spending more money. If the owners don't spend more money, then this thing is all for naught. It doesn't matter who you bring in. But realistically, you think they spend more money since they just spent money, and they would go kind of go back into being all in. I'm not sure who they're going to pick. Maybe the next guy is a Chris Young type of head coach, that he's going to have more say in who they get. But I think Chris Woodward was done dirty. To fire him in season, I don't get the point of that. You should have waited to at the end of the season. And I thought maybe next year would be the year that he's on the hot seat, because you got to give him a full year with the team you just built, with spending all that money. Give him the full season, and then spend more money on the off season and put a team together that's better, and see what he does with that. And if he couldn't compete with spending more money after next season, and you didn't see that progress you want to see, then I could see letting him go. But letting him go now is just to me is just ridiculous. I thought it was a ridiculous move when it popped up on my phone the other day. I was shocked, jaw on the floor. We had heard these talks about 2 weeks ago about his job being in jeopardy, it seems like, and all of a sudden he's gone. So I don't like the move. I thought he would have at least one more year. And when you're given the Rangers front office is expecting you to shine a turd. They've openly admitted last year that we didn't go. We weren't all in. Or it was last year, the year before. They openly admitted that they didn't go all in on the rebuild, which was a big mistake. They openly admitted that they didn't. These 4 teams that they put out there weren't going to produce and be a team to win and compete. And you fired a coach that overachieved. He won games and put records on the board. You fired him, even though he overachieved, and Chris and Bannister, and which I was shocked when they fired him. And then you fire a guy that's a coach's player that they really like him and get along with him, and I don't think he ever lost the locker room. And whoever you bring in here, I don't know who wants this job. Now, some of it is appealing, right? You got a brand new stadium. It's indoor in Texas. You're not going to be burning up. You have Simeon and Seager, and you got young guys like Adolis, and you got Gray. They just got in the pitching staff, and you got Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker and guys in the farm system. This farm system is looking better than I expected it to be at this point. And you got all that. But this move makes me question management. Okay, this move makes me question not only I'm not a big believer or fans in the ownership of the Texas Rangers, because they never spend money. And I was a fan of Josh Daniels, or John Daniels. I always call him John Daniels. But I'm starting to turn it around, and I'm going, I don't know if I trust him anymore. I don't know, with the decisions that this team has made, if I can trust the front office anymore. And that's a big problem. That's a big problem for me. So we'll see if Chris Woodward gets a job anywhere else, gets goes somewhere else, or what, maybe he signs on to be an assistant somewhere. I don't know. I think someone will pick him up, but he was given nothing here, and he was expected to shine a polished turd in with the Rangers, and his expectations for the ownerships and John and Chris were just too high, in my opinion. But that was shocking. Now, the next headline Fernando Tatis. We weren't able to talk about this yet. Fernando Tatis gets suspended 80 games. He's going to miss the rest of the season. This is supposed to be the next poster boy for Major League Baseball, and he is out. Okay. This is a big deal. This tarnishes his name, his reputation. It tarnishes, it looks bad on baseball. This guy was on I think a motorcycle accident or dirt bike accident last year. Missed a lot of time with his wrist, and He's been hurt a lot this year. And now you got this 80-game suspension. He's going to miss the rest of the season. He's going to miss some into next year. The Padres and the fans, they've got to wait to see their trio play. They got Juan Soto. You're gonna be able to see Tatis and Machado and Soto play on the same team, and it's gonna be the push for the Padres needed to go all in, and this deflates that a little bit. And if this team, to me has a lot of potential, but they've never really put it together. And this organization hasn't. They pushed their chips on the table. We talked about it when they got Juan Soto. They pushed all the chips on the table. We are ready to go. And this deflated the sales in the San Diego boats out there. And the rumor is that coming from the organization itself, that Tatis is immature and he's self-centered person. And this reminds me of the Arizona Cardinals and Kyle Murray. You have a very public bashing of your star player. Okay, the Arizona Cardinals did that with Kyle Murray. They let things come out that probably shouldn't have come out, especially if you wanted to sign it back, which they did. But very public, ugly fight. I guess they made up because they signed that contract. But this is a very ugly fight. Now, Tatis hasn't come out and said anything against the management, but they're letting these things fly out here and leak out here that this guy may not be the best teammate and the best, have the best attitude towards things. So Tatis is suspended. Now his dad's coming out. They're coming out. They're making all sorts of kind of excuses. Yeah, some steroid cream for ringworm, which doctors have come out and said that would just make it worse. It doesn't make any sense. Your story doesn't make sense. His dad came out and said it's tarnished the name. It's bad. Look, it's bad for baseball and him, and he shouldn't be. Maybe he shouldn't be suspended. I'm so sick and tired of guys making excuses. You broke the rule. You pay the consequence. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the star of the league or the next face of Major League Baseball. I don't care. You broke the rules. You pay the consequences. You know what you put in your body. You broke the rules. Maybe you didn't think it would show up. I'm not sure what you did, but you screwed up. You screwed the pooch, and now you have to pay the consequences. So sick and tired of family members or teammates coming out and saying, well, maybe this is a harsh punishment. Maybe they shouldn't suspend him. I don't know. No, he broke the rules. He pays the consequences just like anybody else. There's no special treatment here. They're all players. They all made it to the pros. There's no special treatment. If my kid messes up later on in life and they get in trouble, they're going to own up to it. I'm not going to sit out here and make excuses for them. Yep, they did it. They made a mistake. Now they got to pay their fine or whatever it is and move on. But so don't come out here saying that Major League Baseball shouldn't have punished him so hard. No, those are the rules. You broke it. Now you get to sit down for 80 games. You get to sit down and really think about how mad your fan base is, your organization, your head coach, disappointing your teammates, and hopefully that turns him around a little bit to be, if those rumors are true about him being immature and stuff, maybe he can learn from this, learn the life lesson, and move forward. So Fernando Tatis is a big miss there for the San Diego Padres, and they're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see that trio play out. And I just don't think this team is mentally tough enough to really combat that and compete this year for a championship and go far with it. Excuse me. All right, we had a shooting here in Texas, in Lancaster, Texas. Aqib Talib's brother, I don't even know how he's pronounced his name. It's spelled Yaqub. Aqib Talib's brother shot and killed Michael Hickman after an argument that led to a physical altercation over at youth sports. There was a youth sports. They had some altercation. Talib's brother pulled a gun out and shot him multiple times in front of all the children, all the kids that were there. There's kids that are going to be traumatized for a long time because of this. Michael Hickman, father, coach, lost his life over his senseless, stupid mistake or senseless, stupid decision from Talib's brother. Talib himself, Aqib Talib's had, he's had that track record of problems himself and in college and stuff and football and NFL. Just that kind of family you don't want to mess with because they can go kind of, they can go off the deep end there. And his brother went off the deep end. His brother was arrested, I believe, earlier this year or late last year for having a felon with a firearm. He had a firearm caught on, got arrested for that. He's out here at a youth football camp. I don't know if he's a coach. I don't know if he's a part of the team or whatever. I don't know why this guy is allowed to be around these children. Him being a felon, and he decides to make a stupid decision and took a man's life. That this guy should rot in prison for the rest of his life. No ifs, ands, or buts. He did turn himself in yesterday, so that's good. They have him under custody. Now, Aqib Talib is supposed to be on the sideline, be a little analyst for the NFL. I'm not sure if it's Amazon or somebody else, but I don't know. Will this affect it? Will this affect Aqib's job? I'm not sure if it will or not. He was there. I don't think he should be punished for his brother's crime, right? He was not the one that pulled the trigger. He was not the one that had the gun. As far as we know, maybe he did have the gun. His brother got it off him. I don't know. I don't think that's what happened. But I just don't know if an organization, whether it be Amazon or the NFL, or whoever's going to have this guy on the sideline, going to want that on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to want his. Every time they see him, you got to think about that incident, and it's just that bad publicity type of thing. So I don't know if it'll affect his job. Maybe they wait till next year to start him off. I'm not sure. Only time will tell. But his brother's going to go to jail for probably the rest of his life. But don't make dumb decisions. Over youth sports has gotten out of insane. How much y'all take this personally and take it so important. And it's just a game, my guys. It's just a game. All right. Marshawn Lynch arrested for a DUI. You saw those pictures and videos come out. Tore up his car. The car was undrivable when they got there, so he was asleep in the driver's seat. Just smashed, completely smashed. And Marshawn Lynch is supposed to start with Amazon this year. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But Marshawn Lynch is on that list where he can do no wrong. And there are players and athletes and stars that, for some reason, because we think they're cool or funny or whatever, they can do no wrong. If this was someone else other than Marshawn Lynch, then he's probably getting a lot more bad publicity. And what was he thinking? He could have killed somebody. What an idiot! And I still think that. I don't care who it is. DUIs and driving drunk is one of the dumbest things you can do, in my opinion. I hate it with a passion. You get in a car, not in the right mindset, and you end up killing. A lot of times when drunk drivers hit somebody, the other person dies and they end up living. And there's no reason for nobody, don't care who you are, to get in a car intoxicated. Sorry. I don't care who you are. And especially if you're rich, because you can pay for an Uber. Doesn't matter how far, how expensive it is. You can get this fancy limo to come pick you up or whatever it is. No, he gets in his car acting like an idiot, drove, driving up on sidewalks, running over curbs. Thank God he didn't run over nobody, hit nobody. That's the real miracle out of the situation, and he didn't hurt himself. They get him, he'll pay his fine and move on. But there's some people out there that it's okay if they do stupid stuff like this. What's his face? Oh, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's one. He's funny. He's cool. He's a badass, right? But he went to prison for rape, and people seem to forget that. They think oh yeah, Mike Tyson's the greatest. Marshawn Lynch. There's some guys that are on this list that it doesn't matter what you do, they can get away with it. I don't know what it takes to be on that list, but there's that list. All right. Well, the preseason week ones came and gone, and we've got some interesting notes from that. Now, I wish Craig was on here. He's a Cowboys fan. I was going to ask him this question here, but he's not. So I'm going to have to answer that on my own question here. So the Dallas Cowboys already lead a category in the NFL, and that is 17 penalties. Game 1, they had 17 penalties in the preseason. And I don't look too much into preseason games, and I don't, look at who wins and who loses because it doesn't matter. But when you lead the league in penalties last season, you think that would be something that you would work on over the offseason and put a big emphasis on this season. And I get it. It's preseason. These guys aren't starters that are playing. These guys are backups, and they're going to make mistakes. I get it. I understand that. Totally understand that. But should the Cowboy fans be worried? Because 17 penalties in one game is a lot. Outrageous amount of penalties. Boneheaded penalties. This is something that they didn't shore up from last year. And I wonder, that was a big talking point this week on 105.3 The Fan of who do you blame? Do you blame the player? Do you blame the coach? Who is it? And I want to know what you guys think. Do you blame the player or do you blame the coach when it comes to penalties? A coach come out and say, I don't coach penalties. Okay. But when you're penalized, it's because you're either getting beat and you've got to make a move to try and stop the mayhem from getting to your quarterback or the wide receiver blowing right by you or whatever it may be. Or you're using poor technique, and that poor technique leads into penalties. That over-aggressive play can lead to penalties. And that is coached, right? Being aggressive. You can talk about your defensive coordinators coming out there. We're going to be aggressive all day long, no matter what. And you're probably going to give up some yardage there. You're probably going to give up some penalties, and you can be okay with that. But 17 penalties is a lot. And going after last season, how you had the most penalties, and that's called disciplined. And I blame the players for the most part until I see a reoccurrent theme going. Until I see, okay, these guys aren't learning anything. These guys aren't learning from their mistakes. And then I look at the head coach and go, okay, you've had last year, you're the most penalized. And if it goes again this season, he's heavily penalized, then something's not clicking. Something's not clicking with these players, whether it's your technique you're teaching them or whether it's the discipline that you're teaching them. I don't know what it is. But right now, I think the blame goes a little bit on both, but I think a lot of it goes on the players. But this continues to be a theme for the Dallas Cowboys this season, and going forward. Then I do look at the head coach, and I do look at these coordinators and go, what are we doing here that's not getting across to these players? Because you go, they looked at McCarthy when he when he was coach of the Green Bay Packers, and he was not a heavily penalized coach, or their teams weren't very heavily penalized. And he comes to Dallas and he leads the league in penalties last season. They started off preseason game 1, which a lot of people are going to take with and be like, oh, I can't believe I'm not worried too much in preseason, but we should be worried that it starts happening in regular season. We could get halfway through the season and look at the penalties and see what the Dallas Cowboys are. Because if it's a reoccurring theme, then I think that's when you start looking at the head coach and these coordinators, whether it be defense or offense, these coaches, and go, what are we not getting across here? These guys aren't understanding, because something's got to change at that point. But it is just preseason game one, so I'm not going to go over here and jump overboard on any of these things. But next, the Jets almost lose their starting quarterback. Zach Wilson went out with a knee injury. They thought maybe he tore his ACL. He has a meniscus tear and a deep bone bruise in his knee. Had surgery today. They said it went well, and he's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks instead of tearing his ACL and being out all year. So that's good news for the Jets. I asked this question: what is he doing out there? I know he's young. I know he is. He had a year last year. Wasn't very good. He missed a couple games last season with a knee injury, the same knee problem, or same knee issue, and he's young. I get it, but he's your starting quarterback, and you've got to figure out if this guy is your future, not Joe Flacco. Their head coach keeps coming out and talking how good Joe Flacco is, and came out today and said they have 3 starting quarterbacks on the roster. And okay, let's calm it down there, buddy. All right, let's simmer down there, because Joe Flacco's not a star. He's just a veteran who knows a lot about the game of football, but he's not a starting quarterback. So he'll be your starting quarterback, because your quarterback Wilson will be out for 2 to 4 weeks. Hopefully just 2 for them. The Jets, doesn't matter who's playing as quarterback. Your horrible start to your season with how tough you've got it is going to be difficult, as is, no matter who starts for you. But Jeff Okudah plays the first snaps since tearing his Achilles in 2020. That was the Lions' first round pick, I believe, Jeff Okudah, in 2020. He tore his Achilles and he missed the whole season. He's back. He seemed to have a good game the other night, and it's good for the Lions. It's bad for the Packers and the Vikings and anybody else that plays him this year. This guy is a stud in college, and if he can be any of that with the Detroit Lions, and I think they've got a good player in Jeff Okudah, but we're gonna have to see it out there on the field first. But it's a good thing that he's back for the Detroit Lions. And I'm no Lions fan, but I love me some Dan Campbell. I love me some of that fiery attitude to want to jump through the wall for you. I like him as a head coach. Big news for Packers this week. We activated Jenkins, Tonyan, and Watson off the PUP list. It's great news for Green Bay. I did not expect them to come off so soon. They all 3 came off at once. Tonyan, 2 years ago, was our best tight end. He was making plays left and right, and then last year he tore his ACL. Elkin Jenkins has been the steal of the draft 3 years ago. We drafted him 3rd round draft pick, and he's been the best lineman out of that draft. And then you got Watson coming in this season to be the answer for our wide receiver group coming out. And he is a guy that hopefully can mesh well with Aaron Rodgers and make some plays. We've heard great things about Dobbs, the other wide receiver we drafted. We heard some great things about him, and get him going. And if Watson can come in and play good, we haven't seen him yet because of injuries, but I'm hoping to see him play some preseason games, because I'm interested to see what he's going to have for the Green Bay Packer fans this year. And hopefully it's someone with some electric moves and consistency in catching the ball and being where you're supposed to be, and doing the things that he knows he needs to do. And hopefully him and Aaron Rodgers get a connection, because we got a lot of hope riding on Watson. Kenny Pickett had a game-winning drive in Pittsburgh. It's got to be great feeling for the Pittsburgh fans. Exciting sign for the rookie quarterback there, as I don't think he's going to be fighting for a number 1 job, but that's good news for you, Pittsburgh fans, for your future quarterback there. So it's good to see that there in Pittsburgh. And Baker got the start over Donald in Carolina. We all figured that was going to happen. There was talk about Darnold playing better in practice, but they brought Baker in for a reason, and I think he's better quarterback in my opinion. Anyways, Sam Darnold, we kind of know who he is and know what he can and cannot do. And Baker, you've seen flashes of him being good. You've seen flashes of him. He's going to give it his all. He's going to make a lot of commercials, and he's going to, do his Baker thing. But I think overall, I think he's going to be a better fit for your team than Sam Darnold. Tyrod Taylor to get some reps for the first team with New York, but Brian Daboll says says that Jones is still their starter. There's already question marks. There's already talks about Daniel Jones not being good enough to even play this season. They thought that he was going to get that 1 year kind of, what's the words I'm looking for? 1 year prove it deal, kind of prove it to Brian Daboll that you're good enough to play, good enough to start. And we don't even make it out of preseason. They're already talking about moving on or making him the backup quarterback. And we all know Tyrod Taylor is a very capable bus driver, and he's not their future though. So this is something that they're going to look at. But if I'm Brian Daboll, I don't pit Tyrod Taylor in. I pit Daniel Jones in, and if he's not good enough, you lose games to get a higher pick, and that's how you can build this team. They had a wonderful draft this last season, or this last draft, and they're looking to build upon it. They need a quarterback. Daniel Jones is not the guy. Tyrod Taylor is not the guy either. So, but they got a really fantastic draft, and if it plays out for them, then it's a good way to start that rebuild there in New York, because that's what exactly needs to happen. All right, you got Tom Brady. There's rumors that Tom Brady in camp the other day looked miserable. Flat out miserable. People say they're kind of wondering if he's questioned coming back. His best friend Gronk's not there. His running mate is not there with him, and they said that he looked miserable, and and that they're thinking he's contemplating on whether he should have come back or not. And look, we all know it's Tom Brady, and there are going to be these rumors about maybe he didn't really want to play, and then he's going to go out and probably win the Super Bowl, and then he's going to be like, oh yeah, I thought I didn't want to play. So I'm not reading much into this. I'll believe it when I see it. If something happens, or if he calls it quits before the season starts, but I think he's already had too much invested, and I think this will be his last season. But only time will tell, right? If things start going bad, they've already had a couple key injuries there in Tampa, and if things start going bad, then I could see him kind of going, all right, well, this will be it. I'm going to wrap it up this season. But maybe he wants to go out with a ring. Maybe he's going to give it one last hurrah. We know when Tom Brady hits the field, he's not going to just give up and not play. And so I'm not putting much into this, and but I'm, I hope it's true. I hope he comes in with some doubt, maybe I should have stopped playing him. I hope he's terrible and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers flop, but that would be wonderful. But I just don't see that happening. I think he's going to use this as fuel and fire, and go on to win the division. Obviously, it's too easy of a division, and then look forward to a deep run in the playoffs. So that's actually I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl, but that's neither here nor there. All right, guys. Well, that's my episode. I drug it on to about 40 minutes just by myself. Craig couldn't make it this week. He couldn't make it today, and he will not be on Friday. So if Jeff doesn't jump on Friday with me, it'll be another solo edition with just me talking to you on the mic. I haven't gone solo. It's been so long since I've gone solo on here. Hopefully it's not as bad as it sounds or whatnot, but that was the sports headlines there for episode 144, guys. Remember that happiness is a mindset. All right. You can choose to be happy when things aren't going your way. You can choose to change your mood, and things happen to all of us in our lives, right? Um, but only thing that you can choose is how you handle those situations. You can choose your mood. You can choose to wake up and be happy um, during your trials in life. And I'm starting something, guys. It's coming soon. I've got to start it. It's coming soon. Stay tuned for it. Um, I don't know if it's going to be another podcast that I start on the side, or what it's going to be, but I'm starting something and I'm really excited about it, and I hope you guys are willing to share with us. But I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to listen to the podcast, to get on here and comment and like and respond to us. You can email us at outspokensportscast@gmail.com. You can reach us out on any social media sites at Outspoken Sports Sportscast there, and find us anywhere. Feel free to ask us questions. Feel free to um, give us your takes. Feel free to you know, if you have something you want us to talk about, something you don't think we've answered or want to know our opinion on, feel free to do so. Football is almost here, guys. We still got preseason left. We got 2 more games, and then we're looking at real NFL football. I know we're all looking forward to that, and we will not have we will definitely have a lot to talk about when that happens. I'm starting the NFL Survivor League this year like I did last season. I did win that last season, so that was wonderful. But I'm going to start that again this year. It's going to be fantastic. And guys, I hope you have a great week. Finish it off strong. Finish it off happy. Finish it off um, with a great mindset headed into the weekend. And it's only Tuesday. We still got a couple more days. We're supposed to get some rain here in Texas tomorrow and Thursday. That's hallelujah. It's a prayer been answered, because we need it here in Texas. I'm pretty sure we need it kind of everywhere. All right, guys, that's the show tonight. Feel free to share it around. God bless, and remember, keep it up.